Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the History of Professional Wrestling. I am your host, Joe Monroe, and today we're going to travel back in time to a very important wrestling territory, a place that produced icons, defined whole generations of professional wrestlers, and helped shape to what would become the modern era. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, the legendary Crockett territory. But before we get into that, I want to give a big shout out to you, the fans. Thank you all so much on the views, the likes, the comments that we got from our previous episode, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I never would have dreamed to get that much in my life. I know it seems small to some creators, but thank you all. I want to keep those interactions up. I want to talk to the professional wrestling fans, even some of the trolls. I like messing with them. But you know what? Enough me kissing your butt. Let's sit back, relax. Let's go travel back in time to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. So, what was Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling? If you lived under a rock, you should know what Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling is. But before it became the powerhouse that we remember it as, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling started as part of Jim Crockett Promotions based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. This territory covered the Carolinas, Virginia, and some parts of the Southeast. And if you're a wrestling fan during the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, Mid-Atlantic was the place to be. You just didn't watch a show. You lived it. The TV program was simple, gritty, and straight to the point. In that era, wrestling wasn't just about the flashy lights or video screens that we know today. It was about two things: characters you believed in, and stories that kept making you want to come back for more each and every week. Now, you're probably thinking, how the heck did they do that? Well, the stars who made it special. One reason Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling became such an iconic place, because of the talent that came through that territory. I mean, listen to this lineup right here I got in my notes. Ric Flair. Before World Championships, before limo riding, jet flying, son of a gun that he is, Flair built his legacy right here in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, one of the purest baby faces the business has ever seen. And I will hold on to that forever. Now, we mentioned Ricky Steamboat. Let's talk about his tag team partner, Jay Youngblood. His chemistry with Steamboat is still talked about to this day. And if you want my honest opinion, one of the most underrated tag teams in professional wrestling history. Wahoo McDaniels, a legit tough guy who brought authenticity to everything that he done. And I want to give a big shout out to my family because my grandmother loved Wahoo McDaniel. My grandfather was a Hogan guy. Don't judge him too much, guys. And here's someone that is my personal favorite. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Yes, the Hot Rod. Before he was in the WWF, Piper was tearing it up in Mid-Atlantic. And someone that he feuded with, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Part of one of the most brutal feuds in the territory against not only Roddy Piper, but Wahoo McDaniels. Not only did we have the single wrestlers, but we also had legendary tag teams, such as the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Road Warriors, and the Koloffs. Mid-Atlantic's tag team scene helped redefine tag team wrestling for the entire industry. And this is just scratching the surface. This territory didn't just produce stars, it produced eras. Let's talk about something that was the heart and soul of Mid-Atlantic, the rivalries. One of the most famous feuds was Ric Flair versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Everybody talks about the 1989 trilogy, but the chemistry started in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling years earlier. Flair was the flashy heel, Steamboat was the humble baby face, and every time they stepped into that ring together, it was like electricity hit that crowd. Then you had Wahoo McDaniels and Greg the Hammer Valentine. This feud was so physical, so intense, the people still call it one of the most hard-hitting rivalries ever. Blood, the emotion, it was all raw and believable. And we can't forget about Greg the Hammer Valentine and Roddy Piper. That dog collar match at Starrcade, my goodness, it is still talked about to this day. And not only did Piper go up against Greg the Hammer Valentine, he went up against Abdullah the Butcher, people like Jimmy Valentine, the Andersons, and of course, a stable that defined professional wrestling forever. I'm talking about the Four Horsemen, who later used the Mid-Atlantic territory as their base when the NWA shifted into the Jim Crockett Promotion era. And not only that, we had tag team wars. The Rock and Roll Express going up against the Midnight Express. Fast, loud, emotional. The rivalry changed tag team wrestling forever. Mid-Atlantic's story isn't just about great wrestling. It was about evolution. Jim Crockett Promotions grew bigger and bigger, eventually becoming the NWA's biggest territory. As the company expanded to things like Starrcade, the Great American Bash, and major touring events, Mid-Atlantic became the backbone of the entire NWA. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Starrcade and Great American Bash, Joe, isn't that WCW pay-per-views? Well, we'll find out later on when WCW purchased Mid-Atlantic. They took those pay-per-views with them. But Mid-Atlantic did it first before any of you little Google freaks get out there and try to prove me wrong. It happened right here in Mid-Atlantic. This wasn't just a territory anymore. It was a launching pad for what would eventually, like I said, become WCW. And when people talk about Dusty Rhodes' booking, the Four Horsemen running wild, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, the Road Warriors, all of that had its roots planted right here in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. So you're probably asking yourself, Joe, why does Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling still matter? It's simple. Mid-Atlantic was one of the first territories to mix athletic wrestling, strong character work, and weekly episodic storytelling. It wasn't just matches. It was emotional investment. It was where Ric Flair became the Nature Boy, where Ricky Steamboat became an icon. It's where the old school Southern wrestling style took shape. Just like we learned from Smoky Mountain Wrestling last week, this is the style of wrestling that they had. This is what Jim Cornette tried to replicate. And influence everything that came after, not just Smoky Mountain, from Crockett to WCW, and even today's wrestling promotions, especially the independent wrestling promotions, are majorly influenced by Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Personally, I think Mid-Atlantic is one of the most, if not the most important chapter in wrestling history. Can't talk about the NWA, Crockett, or even WCW without bringing up Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. The territory created the blueprint: believable baby faces, arrogant heels, long-term feuds, blood, emotion, and storytelling. If you love the sport of professional wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, TNA, or in the independent scene, you're watching something that is influenced by Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Today, we looked at how Mid-Atlantic began, the legends who came through, the unforgettable rivalries, the evolution into Jim Crockett Promotions, and why it still matters to this day. Another important piece in the ongoing story of the sport of professional wrestling. And that is just a brief history of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. I want to give a big shout out to all my new subscribers. We have gotten over 320 subscribers here on YouTube. Thank you all so much. Thank you all who have interacted with last week's episode. I hope to see you all in the comments on this episode. And if I make a mistake, hell, call me out for it. I don't care one bit. But I want to thank you all for tuning in again. I can't wait for next week's episode. Keep supporting the show. If you love professional wrestling, keep sharing these history videos. This is so important. We're trying to keep professional wrestling history alive. And if you're not doing that and you're just being a troll and you ain't got nothing better to do, just shut up and enjoy professional wrestling. But thank you all so much. We will see you next week on another episode of the History of Professional Wrestling. Take care and goodbye.